You ready for a real story? Let's kick back. Bring it.
Okay, here we are from the vault. Kick back. And yes, we're in an actual vault, as we always are. And we know that this old bank vault became a great studio, and it symbolizes a lot of what our show talks about. And that is making deposits and withdrawals from our own personal vault. And some of those deposits and some of those successes and failures that we get, we have to learn from those. And not every deposit we make and not every withdrawal we make comes out successful. And many of our guests that come on share those, and they've had a lot of success in life, but they didn't get that success just from being successful. They had to have some stumbling blocks along the way, and they've had some failures along the way, and that's what makes them stronger, and that's what makes them more successful down the road. And our next guest is no exception. He has been a friend of mine for a long time, Wayne Gorsick. He has had a share of a lot of the similarities that I have, things in life. And two of those things is one is dogs. He raises cane corsos and great dogs. I mean, I've met them. I've had fun with them. And the other thing is horses. And that's how Wayne and I met, through actual horses. Isn't that right, Wayne?
I met you in Boulder City. You were up on your horse in your police uniform, and became best buddies instantly. It was a nice experience.
Yeah, back in the day when I used to do that, on training police horses and getting them ready for the street, and there you were, and I believe you had your cane corsos with you.
Yes.
But we've met quite a few times in Boulder City. We've chatted quite a few times, and mostly it's about horses. And I know that you've had horses a lot in your life.
My grandparents, my mother, my uncle had horses. I got my first horse when I was probably 5. Now, they did a lot of showing of horses, got lots of trophies, ribbons. I tried that. I didn't really care for riding in circles in an arena. I'm like you, I like trails. So I just kind of stick to the trails now with my trail horses.
Yeah, and you would send me a lot of your pictures of trail riding, videos and pictures, and that's fantastic. And what's great about your love for animals, it's great that people support them and do a lot with them, but you get involved with them. I mean, especially with the horses. I mean, you actually ride them, you actually take care of them, you're actually interested in them, and that's amazing. And I know that. I believe you told me that there was horses on a vineyard.
Yes, one of my favorite horses, Buddy, is a Tennessee Walker. And the way I met him was in Oregon, they have winery tours on Tennessee Walkers. And I kept getting him as my favorite winery tour horse to visit wineries. And then when COVID hit, they shut him down.
Right.
They needed to sell some, and I bought Buddy from the bad. COVID was bad. But the good that came out of it is I ended up with Buddy.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, a horse obviously needed a home, and you provided that. And I've homed a lot of horses in my life. Some of them were in great shape, some of them not. But that's what we do. We take them in and so forth. Tell me about the cane corsos. What got you into cane corsos?
Well, my good friend Kurt owns a CBD store here, Natural Bloom, in Boulder City, and I kept walking by it, and he always had a female named Kai, Kanya Corso, with him in his store. And I said, well, hey, can I take her for walks? And he allowed me to walk her, and I got to really like her a lot. And then I ended up convincing him to sell me her.
Right.
And then later, he ended up bringing 7 from his Oregon home to Nevada, and he needed a home for Zeus. And so he was so kind to rehome Zeus to me. And then they had puppies, and I ended up with 8 more.
and for those of you listening right now, or even watching this on YouTube, Zeus is right below us. He's actually below the camera line. He's laying down. He's a great dog. I mean, he's actually been around my horses, and he's been fantastic around them. So what is being in Nevada, you've been in Nevada for a long time now. How many years have you been here?
About 16, 17.
Okay. So with that, about our wild Mustang population and the things that go on in Nevada with the roundups and so forth. Any thoughts on that?
I think the government does a lot of bad things, sadly. And one of them is not bad things they're doing is not protecting the wild Mustangs, the wild life, the wild burros. I think they're putting growth of tax revenues in front of the protection of wildlife. And I don't think Teddy Roosevelt would approve of that.
No, he probably wouldn't. Probably wouldn't. So I mean, and that seems to be the hot topic. It seems to come and go. It depends on, if there's a roundup going on. They show the picture of the helicopter rounding them up, and that of
Terrible.
course, it's terrible, and it makes the news, and then it's forgotten for a little bit until somebody brings it up as a talking point.
Well, and it's sad that neither party fixes it, and it's kind of like our postal service. It doesn't matter what party's in charge, they lose billions a year and nobody fixes it.
So
Medicare, Medicaid, healthcare, everything the government's involved in is a catastrophe, in my opinion. It's disaster.
And you brought up the Postal Service. Let's talk about that. What are your thoughts on the U.S. Postal Service, which is an actual business that the government runs that fails,
with no tax money?
And so, what are your thoughts on
sell it off to the
off.
highest bidder, and UPS, FedEx, Amazon will buy it and make it profitable.
Right.
And sell it off, because whenever government runs something, it's inefficient, it's inept. Like you go to the Postal Service now and try to overnight a package, they don't do it anymore. You got to go to FedEx or UPS now.
Wow.
Can't even overnight a package.
Wow.
And I've had people post on Facebook where they mailed a package or letter and it takes 6 weeks to get there, where it should be 3 or 4 days.
And I've had that. I've had people send out clips to me or film material that I need to use from the production company I work with back in New York, and then keep asking me, did you get it yet? And they'll send it through United States Postal Service.
Don't do it.
Priority mail, which is supposed to be 3 days, 5 days.
Yeah.
I'll get it 2 weeks later.
It's a disaster. Yeah, the government has about 23 million employees. If you look at local, county, state, federal, 90% should be out of their jobs and in private enterprise. We don't need this much government. It's bankrupting us. That's why we got the hyperinflation. It's not a friend to us. It's not a friend to my industry. I can go to jail, have my business shut down, my products seized, civil lawsuits, criminal complaints filed for telling the truth in America about my products, about nutritional supplements.
And we're going to get into that because that's a huge thing for you.
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned a lot about both parties not doing something. I know that you and
Neither
I have
party fixes anything.
Right.
I've been a conservative, Ronald Reagan, Republican my entire life. And what's happened to the government since Ronald Reagan is despicable. And I don't think the founders would approve of it, nor would Reagan approve of it.
No, and for me, my first president to vote for when I got out of high school was the second term of Ronald Reagan. So I've always been a big fan of him. And I know
best president in our lifetime.
It is. And so far in mine, and I can say that, we all learn from every president. I mean, let's face it, not every president's perfect. Reagan, of course, had the tagline of Reaganomics and things like that.
Reaganomics worked.
It worked, And,
it fixed the disaster he inherited from Jimmy Carter.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course they talk about the mental institutions that he shut down during his time for Reagan. And, there's always going to be something. Nobody's got a perfect presidency.
That's true.
You got to weigh out the good with the bad, and that goes for anything. So that's the way I look at, even though I'm a conservative myself and I've always voted along mostly Republican in my life.
Same here.
I always look at how much is the weight? What is the, yes, I'm going to lose something, but what am I gaining at the same time?
Well, what we're losing now is the value of our dollar. The government spending at these $2 trillion a year deficits. Obama started it at $1 trillion a year, which was horrible. And then sadly, Trump went to $2 trillion a year. Biden kept it there. Trump's keeping it there again.
Right.
And that is creating massive hyperinflation. Whenever the government spends at deficit levels and creates more debt, that causes inflation.
Yeah.
And look at what everything costs now. Back in the 80s, you could buy a nice car for $12,000. Now it's
easy.
$30,000 to $50,000 minimum. Back in the 80s, you could get a meal for $1.99. Now it's $10 to $20.
I mean, look at the pickup trucks. I mean,
$100,000 for
$100,000. I mean, for what I need, I have horses and
diesel.
I pull them, diesel no less. I drive a 3,500 now. If I were to buy that brand new today with the options that I have in it, and we're not talking a trucked out here, we're talking just the basic options for a heavy duty truck. It's $120,000.
Absurd. Thank the government. Yeah, thank the government. Whenever you look at your gas prices, you look at your power bill, your grocery prices, cost of a home, car, anything, and it's absurd, right? All of it's absurd now. Thank the government. 100% government's fault. And then government will blame corporations. Recently, our president was blaming the gas stations for gas prices.
right.
It's not
For the
their fault.
gouging.
It's the fault of our governments. They've created these $4 or $5 a gallon gas prices. Now, I drive a Tesla, thankfully, and I bought it on deal where it's lifetime free supercharging. So personally, I don't care about gas prices, but my
Right.
business does because we have to pay to freight stuff in, we have to pay to ship stuff out. And guess what? All that gets passed on to the consumer.
It does. And
So,
you have no choice in that matter
no,
because
you go bankrupt if you don't.
you go bankrupt. And
Yeah.
people have to understand that corporations and companies, they say, oh, it's greed, it's greed, it's greed.
It's
they,
greed from the government. Is what
Right.
it's greed from.
and
You know,
they have to adjust themselves accordingly.
if any business or person spent the way the government spends recklessly, they would be bankrupt. The only reason our government is not bankrupt is they can print unlimited currency, and that's what causes the inflation and devalues the dollar. Ron Paul talked about this in the 70s, and he tried to stop it, but sadly, he was the minority and couldn't stop it.
Right. And he kind of got a message out for a while. He ran for president and everything,
Yes.
but just didn't gain enough steam.
No, sir.
It just didn't gain
Well,
enough
he
steam.
didn't sell out. The problem is we got both parties selling out to the highest bidders. The highest bidders are Israel, Saudi Arabia, Islamic oil companies.
Right.
They're not just American-based corporations.
Sure.
Look at the biggest lobbyists to government. It's healthcare, doctors, hospitals, drug companies, insurance companies, and they're part of the problem too. But they're in bed with the government. It's one big conspiracy.
Yeah. And obviously it's a lot of money exchanging hands, and it's our money that's exchanging hands.
Well, your
know?
biggest disaster is healthcare. I remember when it hit $1 trillion a year cost in the 80s, I said it's going to bankrupt us. Now it's at like $4 trillion a year. And guess who pays half of that? The government. The government funds half of healthcare, but yet they won't pay for vitamins. The government will pay for soda and junk food
Right.
for welfare people, but won't pay for vitamins for welfare or healthcare.
And let's dive into that because we're on that now with the vitamins. Is for those that don't know, Wayne Gorsuch, he started the VitaCost in 2000 and actually 1994.
Spot on. Nailed it.
1994, and it became the number one online vitamin company. You actually took that public.
Yes, we took it public right after the last financial crash, and we were the first company to actually restart the IPO markets after they were dead for like a year and a half
Right.
after the financial crash because of our hypergrowth and profits even during a financial crash.
Right. And you got recognized for that because it became the Inc. 500 Hall of Fame.
Yeah. One of the
Which is
few that made
amazing. With all the revenue that was, I think it was $200 million a year.
Yes, and we were growing though at 30 to 50% a year compounding. So that number quickly was like 300-400 million after the IPO. But sadly, the people I trusted, when you go public, you have to have an independent board, and I trusted doctors and lawyers that I thought I could trust.
Oh, there you go.
Big mistake with the board control, and they wanted to enrich themselves beyond what I would allow that they didn't deserve.
Right.
So they had to get rid of me, and so they voted me out of power.
So they did the old Steve Jobs
Watch
move
the
on
Jobs movie, same thing.
you. Same
Happened to
thing.
Steve Jobs.
They forced you into retirement.
Exactly.
I think it was around 2000.
It was 2009. Yes,
2009.
Yeah,
Okay.
close.
But you didn't let that stop you though, because you said, I'm going to show you guys.
I had a 2-year non-compete to
Right.
wait out, and literally the day that expired, I launched my new company here in Las Vegas.
And that was Dr. Vita.
Correct, with our Nature's Lab brand of vitamins. Yep.
Right. So, and that's been your baby ever since. And I
Yes, sir.
believe you've put close to $44 million of your own money to start that company up.
Yes, sir. I didn't think it was going to cost that much. I thought it cost me $10 million. But the problem is because of the government, the hyperinflation, everything is 3 to 4 times more than it was when I started my prior company. So instead of costing $10 million, it cost me $44 million to get it profitable. $44 million.
But with that $44 million, you were able to create over 300 jobs.
We created hundreds of jobs in Las Vegas, state-of-the-art manufacturing. We ship 1 million bottles a month with capacity to ship 3 million a month. State-of-the-art labs. We supply some of the largest retailers in the world with their brands. So we're doing good,
Yeah,
thankfully.
and your
But if
facility, I believe, is 72,000 square
about that,
feet.
yeah,
So that's an amazing amount of room,
thank you. The
you
key
know?
is putting in state of the art equipment that's highly efficient and produces a lot of product in less space, and also quality of product is the key.
So let's get back to the vitamins part. Why doesn't the government like the vitamins, other than the obvious, which is they obviously go with big pharma and their prescription medicine?
Well, you nailed it. The government is basically bribed, corrupted, controlled by the pharmaceutical vaccine industry, insurance industry, healthcare industry, hospitals, doctors. They look at how much they donate in these various ways that should be illegal to Congress, to the White House,
Right.
to state governments, to governors, to state legislatures. They control all of government. And guess what? They control all of healthcare. And they make their 4 trillion a year when you get a heart attack, when you have a stroke, when you get arthritis, when you get diabetes. That's how they make their money. They don't make their money selling vitamins that cost $1 a day and prevent those diseases.
Right. And the whole thing is, do you see the regulations put on top of the vitamins or
It's
the
horrific. The government, the FDA, and FTC has taken away all of our constitutional rights to free speech. We cannot make a truthful health claim on a product. It's illegal. It can put you in jail. It can put you out of business.
wow,
Yeah, make you into a criminal.
wow. So how do vitamin companies like yourself get around that when you're making claims on what a vitamin can do and not do?
Well, if you want to stay out of jail and stay out of trouble, you basically make no claims or you make structure function. So a product that may treat, prevent, reverse arthritis, you can't say that. You say it promotes healthy joint function.
Wow. So that's like,
Yeah,
because I take vitamins every day. I probably take about 10 different
it's a good,
vitamins from
it's a good start.
D3 to, even stuff for healthy prostate or I do stuff for, for cartilage and obviously a multivitamin, which we know multivitamins, the big name ones aren't really good
Worthless.
multivitamins. They're
Yeah,
worthless.
the problem, consumers need to educate themselves. Can't trust your doctor. You can't trust the government, the FDA. You can't trust the big drug companies. You got to self educate. And what you got to learn is if you look at the typical multivitamin, read the label, and it doesn't have enough B vitamins, it doesn't have enough C,
Right.
D, it doesn't have the best stuff like CoQ10 at all. It doesn't have enough magnesium. And worse, it's got a lot of chemicals that are toxic. And the main ingredient, which is the cheapest, is calcium carbonate, which is the same ingredient you make concrete out of.
Oh,
Well,
jeez.
and guess what? It concretes your arteries. There's studies
Right.
showing that those who take the most calcium have double the heart attack rates. And
That's
that's the main
crazy.
ingredient in the typical multi.
That is insane.
So you got to read your labels and choose wisely. And you need active forms of vitamins like B vitamin 12. The regular doesn't work for a lot of people. You got to have the methyl active form.
Okay.
So look at B12. You want thousands of percent of the worthless daily value of 100%. And you want methyl, not the Sina that's the standard that doesn't work for most.
So when someone's taking a multivitamin, obviously that in itself, even if you find good multivitamins, it isn't a good in itself because you need supplements, right? You need more of those supplements to help make up for, we get them obviously in fruits and vegetables, some proteins, red meat, chicken, things like that. But you still need, obviously, we're not getting enough,
Correct.
and the magnesium's one of them, I believe, and the other one's D3.
Well, we've kind of ruined our food supply. Fertilizer only has what the plant needs, which is like nitrogen, potassium. You're not getting enough magnesium, B vitamins, D, C out of your foods. You're not getting enough CoQ10. You're not getting enough of omega 3s typically, unless you eat a lot of salmon and trout, which most don't. And sadly, your processed foods are very toxic. And to offset that toxicity, you've got to take more vitamins to neutralize it.
Okay. And what are some of those vitamins that people should be taking for that if they're eating processed foods?
Well, a lot of B vitamins,
A lot
a
of
lot
B.
of
Okay.
C, D. You need D at like 4,000 IU, not 400. You need C at 1,000 milligrams minimum, not 60.
Right.
Bs, you want literally thousands of percent of DV levels. Magnesium, you want 400 to 1,000 milligrams. CoQ10, 100 to 600 milligrams.
Right.
Your diet provides 1 to 2 milligrams. And then there's the joint nutrients you mentioned.
Yeah, and I'm big on the joint ones because as I'm getting older, of course, I get more
All of
aches and
us.
pains. Yeah.
And you've seen it work for horses,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Works for
Yeah.
humans too. So your chondroitin sulfate, your MSM, your collagens. My favorite's BioCell collagen. It's got the most studies. So we combine that with the chondroitin, with MSM. Now, I don't like glucosamine. I think that's
I
bad.
was going to ask you about that because some
No,
people
I
give it
don't
to their
like it.
dogs even, right?
Yeah, I don't. It's cheap. The reason it's so popular, it's kind of like calcium carbonate. It's cheap.
Okay.
It's like a few dollars a kilo, which is cheap, but it's not that effective, and it has some adverse effects too. So
Okay.
I don't put glucosamine in any of my products.
Okay.
So don't
Yeah.
use glucosamine.
Now, what about omega-3s?
Excellent. You want the purified, distilled, triple potency because you need about 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of EPA DHA to work, and your typical only has a few hundred milligrams. So look for triple strength. You need to take a couple a day.
And I
minimum.
take the triple myself right
Perfect.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 a day minimum so that you get effective levels. One of the problems with studies, you'll see a study, fish oil works. Well, it worked because they used a couple thousand milligrams.
Right.
Then you see another study that it didn't work. Well, they only used 300 milligrams. Wasn't enough to work.
Right.
You see that all the time with studies.
What and now what about things like maca? Is that like
Good herb.
a good herb?
Good herb.
Okay, because I take maca. So
in fact, I don't think there's a bad herb. My favorite is ashwagandha.
oh, really, I used to take that. I don't do that one anymore.
It's for stress, immune
Okay.
system.
right.
It's for everything. Now, my favorite that if you said, Wayne, you can only take one herb on the planet, turmeric.
Turmeric. Everybody's talking about turmeric, and I'm doing that as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
call it Indian gold.
Okay.
But now when we lab test turmerics, we tested some off Amazon that had as little as 1 or 2% active. So you got to trust your supplier. You want the extracts that are at least 45, 50 to 95% actives. You don't want 1%, 2%.
Right. Okay.
Not enough to work. And you want at least 1,000 milligrams a day, 1,000 to 2,000 of those.
And you can't overdo it.
You can actually,
can? Okay.
yes. Yeah, there are studies with turmeric where too much in a certain small percent of population can cause liver damage. So you want to stick to the recommended dosages that we put on our labels on that one.
So being that turmeric is the big buzzword now, people in the health industry and so forth. Is that one of the biggest things that Dr. Vita is seen as
It's our top seller.
about to say it is your top
That was
seller?
our top seller.
Okay.
Ashwagandha is second, actually.
Really?
Sir,
Okay.
we specialize in herbs in capsules, and they're hard to make. Herbs are fluffy. They're not dense. They vary from growing seasons as far as density.
Right.
They're hard to make, but I've learned how to make them. And capsules are the best because there's no fillers, binders, chemicals. They dissolve in a few minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So like a slow release in a way.
Well, rapid release.
Rapid release. Sorry.
Yeah, so you get rapid absorption.
Okay.
The typical multi in a hard tablet with calcium carbonate, a lot of people don't even digest those. They're worthless to them.
Wow. So what's your thought on protein bars?
Well, I don't like the bars because they have to use a lot of preservatives and sweeteners and all those sugar alcohols are bad, like erythritol, xylitol, maltitol. Are very bad for you. They double your heart attack rates. So I like the powders without the sweeteners in them. So get a bovine collagen peptide powder, a whey protein powder.
As I say, whey protein, that's a big one.
Unsweetened though.
Right.
You don't want any sugars,
yeah,
because those are all bad, whether it's sugar, fructose, xylitol, maltitol, erythritol, they're all bad. They're all bad for you.
Yeah. And I know the whey protein, that's a big one. Like you said, the unsweetened one.
Yes.
You can mix that in with things. You can put it in
We make
with
smoothies.
your smoothies. Yeah.
We put
That's a big
organic
thing.
berries, almond milk, almond butter. Then you can mix in some of your herbal powders in there.
Right.
Blend them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do that a lot. I'll take like strawberries. I mean, I know blueberries, and I'll put some cinnamon on there. maybe throw
Perfect.
some whey protein on there, and then mix it
Perfect.
up.
That's a
You know,
perfect meal.
and I throw some ice in there. Then make it a smoothie. Make it like a shake because you have your mind then plays the trick of thinking you're eating something and you're drinking a shake, and it's not this healthy combination you put together.
We
And
use the unsweetened almond milk. Is what we
okay,
use. And there's also oat milk, and there's some good ones that you can
good ones
use.
out
But
there. Yeah.
unsweetened is the key.
Now, what about things like liquid IV? What's your thoughts on things that give you like a boost in
Well, there's
hydration?
probably a lot of sugar in them is the
Okay.
problem. And the problem that we have as Americans is we get way too much sugar and simple carbs, which causes obesity, diabetes, heart attacks,
Right.
Alzheimer's. You got to get the sugar out of your diet. So, like when I drink soda, I'm drinking sparkling water that's all natural, no sweeteners, no sugars,
Right.
nothing. You got to get the simple carbs and sugar out of your diet.
Right.
Yeah, that's the key.
And you touched on one of the Alzheimer's, and I know that there's two vitamins that people push. You watch Instagram and TikTok, and one is lion's mane,
That's good
and the other
mushroom.
one is cordyceps.
Yeah, we make both of
Okay.
those. Yeah,
All right. I
mushroom.
mean, I take them because as I get older, I don't want that happening.
Well, what would prevent Alzheimer's and enhance brain health are a lot of things. B vitamins, fish oil, CD, zinc, selenium, basically everything your whole body needs. And then you could add, additionally, the mushrooms you mentioned.
The cordyceps, right?
All the mushrooms are good. Turmeric is great for the brain. Ginkgo biloba is good, a
Yep.
herb. So there's a lot you can do to enhance your brain. And the two things you can do to protect it from toxins is use air purification because toxins cause Alzheimer's, air pollution, which driving electric cars helps with that. We put out no emissions. A little plug for Tesla.
Right.
And also, what also helps getting rid of sugar. High fructose corn syrup specifically doubles your cancer rates and causes Alzheimer's.
Which
In
you
soda,
see that
processed
ingredient, yeah.
foods, yeah,
You see that the high fructose
everywhere.
in everything.
Yeah, look for it, and if it's got
I
it, don't
mean,
buy it.
yeah,
Don't eat it, don't drink it.
yeah. That's good. That's a good little saying there. If it's dire, don't buy it. I mean, I like that way to coin a phrase there, Wayne. And so when it comes to health, it's a battle every day, and especially like you said, like here in America, we're fighting obesity.
And the government's not your friend.
Yeah.
And you look at the government spending $2 trillion of the $4 trillion of our tax money, which is debt now, on healthcare, and look at the results. It's catastrophic failure. Life expectancies are actually dropping.
I saw that.
And
I saw that.
And I
yeah.
think it's also because of over vaccination. When I was a kid, you were a kid, we maybe got 8 vaccines total.
Yeah, polio, things like that.
Right, about 8
Yep.
total. Now they're giving like 80 total. They give like up to 3 to 5 per injection. They give them at birth. And I really believe you see all these sick kids with autism and autoimmune disorders, allergies. I think the vaccines are one of the causes, along with all the toxins in the food and air, water, and the lack of nutrients too. So it's a combination.
Sure.
But we're not fixing them with drugs. We're not fixing them with vaccines. They're the problem. We're not fixing them with surgeries, testing, hospitals. Most people are not being cured and life extended with this $4 trillion a year they're wasting on this so-called healthcare.
No, but every other
Disaster.
commercial you see on
Drug
TV
company.
is a drug company
'Cause they got the
selling
money.
something.
They got the money.
They
to
got
do
the
it.
money, and
Yeah.
and so they're selling that. And then my favorite part of watching these commercials is looking at the
Side
3,000
effects. They run through quickly.
Oh my God, the amount of side effects! It's like, oh, what's worse? I think I'd rather die at that point.
Well, the doctors are so mistrained in medical school because the drug companies control medical schools, and they're all taught that it's got to be a drug to work. Vitamins are worthless, expensive urine may hurt you. They're taught that you get all you need from your diet. They're taught test. And a
Right.
lot of those tests are not safe, by the way, like CT scans and PET scans and putting dyes in you are very dangerous, a lot of radiation, etc. Very expensive. And then once they test, guess what? They diagnose and then they treat, surgery, drugs, and there's your $4 trillion a year. They don't want to prevent disease with vitamins. They don't want to prevent disease with herbs, with natural medicine, with nutrition. They don't want to do it. Takes the money out of their pockets.
Yeah, it does. And there's no money in vitamins.
Where I grew up, not that kind of
Not
money,
that kind of
not
money.
that kind
No,
of money.
not
Where I
that kind of
grew
money.
up, the only people that owned jets were cardiovascular surgeons, doctors, and a guy that supplied the state of Illinois with their IT technology. The only two was
Yeah,
government funded or healthcare funded
that was it, huh?
that had jets where I grew up in Illinois,
Wow.
Springfield. Yeah.
Yeah. And that actually segues into one of the things that we're gonna get back on that topic too with vitamins and also some of the things that you've seen going on. But you mentioned jets, and we talk about things that you try to achieve goals in life, and the biggest thing for you, you obviously had a grandfather that was very big on aviation.
He adopted me, raised me along with my grandmother, and
Right.
he worked at Scott Air Force Base in Belleville, Illinois. And I was always so thrilled to go visit him and see all the airplanes and jets and military. And I wanted to be an Air Force fighter pilot at one time.
You did, and then you joined the Civil Air Patrol.
I got to was Civil Air Patrol as a teenager, and my son is actually in it now as an adult.
Okay.
Uh, but I never did the military route. I ended up going private enterprise, as you know, and we're talking about. But I fortunately did self-fund plane lessons, and then I eventually bought a Commander 112, a Cessna 310, Diamond DA-42 Twin Star, and then worked my way up to new jets. And I had Thunderbird pilots teach me how to fly the jets.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
So you went. Not only did the Embraer jet is obviously a very impressive jet,
love them.
and the first one that you got was the Phenom 100.
100, uh-huh.
You had the 100, and you got your license to fly that.
Single pilot. Yeah, I
Single
learned
pilot.
how to fly single pilot.
I mean, that's an incredible achievement.
And
And
moved up to
then
the 300.
not
Single
only did you
pilot
get the
too.
300, but you went to Brazil to pick it up yourself.
Yeah, both 100 and 300s. Yeah, both.
I mean, you went to the actual factory.
Yes, and now when I hopefully in the future get another one, they're made in Florida now. They actually have a factory in Florida in the Space Coast there now.
So what was
which
that
is nice.
experience like when you picked up the 300 and you had to fly it back from Brazil?
It was kind of cool because that's a long flight. And
How many hours was that flight?
oh, it was probably 20 hours.
20
total
hours.
Or something. It's a long flight.
Did you have a
Yeah.
co-pilot with you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had one of the Thunderbird pilots go with me.
Oh, so one of the guys was a Thunderbird pilot.
Yeah,
Not a bad guy to have sitting side seat with you.
Even though I'm single pilot rated for safety, I always flew with a guy like that because you never know emergencies. And
Sure.
I mean, it used to be to fly a jet, you had 3 pilots. You had or actually 4. You had a navigator, you had an engineer, you had a pilot and co-pilot. And so now the thought that even one person can fly a jet is amazing, but it's not safe as it should be. So it's kind of like why airlines have 2 pilots.
Sure.
I always had a co-pilot for safety.
And so so the 300, and you flew that obviously 20 hours. So you're flying daytime and nighttime.
Oh yeah, we did flights both. Day and night, yeah.
And then you flew it back to. Did you fly it to Illinois? Did you fly it to Florida? Where'd you fly it to?
We first imported into Florida. Yeah, so that was kind of neat. But what's going to be cool? The next one made in Florida. Embraer's making their jets and private jets in Florida now.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
and I
it's
think the
nice.
goal now is the Legacy 500.
Yes, which they now call the Praetor 600.
Okay.
And they were so nice it was nice of them to let me test fly one. And I did a flight from Portland, Oregon to Salt Lake City. And it was a beautiful plane.
Wow.
Beautiful
Okay.
plane.
And when you test flight, you fly with one of the representatives who's
Oh
a
yes.
pilot as well.
Yes. Oh yes.
And you fly their plane and so forth.
Yeah, it's a great experience. But it was a dream since I was age 5. My grandfather would take me to the library and let me check out books on the Air Force, military, airplanes, and
So how much does that play? Obviously, you're a young kid, and you obviously had this entrepreneurial spirit for as far back as you can remember.
yes.
You've always wanted to create something, and so with that, you had these goals to get to certain planes. You had the Cessna, then you went to a Diamond Twin Star, and planes like that, of course, and then of course the Embraers, the 100, 300, and so forth.
Sure.
You have goals, but I think at one time you had gotten, I think, the Twin Star, and it took you a little longer to get to the next plane than you had thought.
Well, actually, it was only about 2 years from the Twin Star to the jets. The
Okay.
Twin Star is a great trainer for jets. It's a twin engine. and it's got the same type of avionics as the jets. And
Okay.
so it was a good stepping stone to get to jets. Now, what took a long time was just to get to own an airplane, because they're so darn
Yeah,
expensive.
they are. I mean, millions of dollars.
Well,
I
I
mean,
started where the first one was like 50 grand, I think it was,
right.
in the like 90s dollars,
Sure.
so like 150 today, I guess,
Right.
but still expensive, though,
Sure. I
right?
mean,
And
you have to have that money on hand.
I always kept them, personal. I didn't feel it should be I didn't never put it in the vitamin companies. I didn't feel that should be their burden.
Right. Right.
So
That because
my
that was your
personal,
personal. Yeah, that
but
was
I
your
did use it
personal.
for business too, though. But I funded it myself, not the company.
Right. And that goes for all the planes you've had, I believe.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even up to the 300, that was your personal plane, to have that.
Never had the corporations pay for it.
That's great.
Uh,
And so, do you get a lot of friends ask you to fly in your planes?
well, a lot of friends like to fly in them,
I bet.
and I
I
did put
bet.
some up in the co-pilot seat. Since I'm single pilot, I can do that. I found a funny story is I took a guy who was chief of staff at the Nellis Air Force Base who flew F-15s up for a ride over Monument Valley. We did a little photo shoot and put him up in co-pilot seat, and he told me my emergency standby instrument
Right.
was more advanced than his cockpit of his F-15.
That's great.
But okay, so here you go again. Government, right? How much does the government spend on military now? Like $1
Right.
trillion a year,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why are we still flying 60-year-old jets that are crashing at rates far higher than they should be? I mean, did you see the B-52 that just crashed? Killed
Yes.
everybody?
Yes.
I mean, I got to believe the potential reason for that crash is the age of the plane.
Yeah.
60-year-old plane. I would fly a 60-year-old plane.
Yeah.
Uh,
Who would trust the safety on that?
right.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. It's crazy.
things wear. No matter how
So
many times you replace parts in it, other parts are wearing at the same time.
airframes wear out.
Yeah.
Everything wears out. Plus, they didn't have the same safety technologies that we do today. If you look at safety of airliners, okay, airliners are
Right.
always upgrading their fleets to newer planes. They're not flying 60-year-old planes, right?
Sure.
And they'd be flying what the 707s or something still.
Right.
And if you look at airline safety by decade, it's improved dramatically every decade. That's because the planes get safer every decade. Why is the Pentagon so far behind and they're getting $1 trillion a year? Why?
Where's that money going?
Exactly.
Where's that?
Exactly. It's
Well,
absurd.
it's going to it's one of those. It's the old funny adages that to buy a wrench to fix a plane,
There you go.
they charge $10,000 for the wrench.
Versus Home Depot for
Yeah.
about $10. Or
So
whatever. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that in itself
It's-
tells you where a lot of the spending goes.
Which is corruption, which is
Yeah.
bribery, which is ineptness. It's a trifecta of failure. You've got bribery, corruption, and ineptness combined. That's
Right.
a trifecta of failure, and that's at all levels of government. Tell me anything the government's doing right. Tell me anything that you would invest in if the government ran it. Anything.
Yeah, because if the government were a stock,
Oh, it'd be zero, bankrupt, over 1,000 times over.
I
It'd be
mean,
GM. It'd be
who-
GM, and
yeah, I mean, who
the
would invest
government
in that?
bailed them out.
Yeah, and
Government Motors.
yeah, and now let's go back to the flying aspect. People are talking about AI. Okay, do you
Yeah.
see more AI or more autopilots being converted to AI controlling a plane as opposed to a human being?
I would never trust a plane being flown by a computer. I've seen too many autopilot failures
Okay.
where if I would have taken over, we would all die.
Okay,
I've seen too many Tesla self-driving failures too.
sure. I mean, it happens. Yeah, autopilot's autopilot. Whether it's
yeah.
a car, whether it's a plane.
It can fail.
Yeah,
I mean, how many times has your iPhone or your Android or your computer failed or locked up?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So imagine you're up flying and the computer locks up, fails, and there's no pilot to take over. So I'm never getting in a plane that doesn't have two well-trained pilots. Now, that's another topic. For decades now, this country, corporations, has been pushing this DEI hiring,
Sure.
and that's a disaster. Military airlines have hired pilots that were not the most qualified because of DEI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I will say the current government supposedly got rid of that, but there's a lot of damage that's been done in the last decades of that. So you got to, sadly, we can't choose our pilots on commercial airlines, but we can on private jets.
And that's a good point. And then, of course, you talked about the hires, and one of the things you're seeing less of is, it was the DEI
It's a
hiring,
disaster.
but there aren't as many people trying to become pilots anymore.
Right, they took
I
away
mean, that
the,
seems to be, I mean,
yeah, they
even if you want the most qualified, where are they to even get in the door to even get them qualified to a level?
well, they took away
Yeah.
the glamour of the job. It used to be a person was a pilot they were looked up to, like
Well,
a
yeah, you're a rock
as a
star in a
right,
way.
right.
I
They
mean,
took that away.
yeah,
Yeah, so you don't have kids in high school saying I want to be a pilot now because they took away that part of it. But I will tell you, I've got friends who are pilots, commercial, working 12 days a month, making 500,000 a year. So it's pretty darn good career, and it's fun to fly a plane. It's fun. And one of my buddies, Chris, he was Navy. He flew to Athens 4th of July.
right.
He gets to fly to some pretty cool
That's pretty cool.
places to
That
hang
is
out.
cool.
Yeah,
That is pretty
flies
cool.
777s for American.
Yeah. What's the coolest place you've flown to on your plane?
I've mainly flown in America, and I always like the approaches into mountains.
Okay.
So, like the Pacific Northwest. Now, I will say flying into Florida with the ocean and the intercoastal is kind of cool, especially
Right.
at sunsets. And I liked flying the Phenom 300 at 45,000 feet at sunset towards the west, and it lasts for like hours, and you can
That's
almost see the
great.
curvature of the earth. You're
That
so high, you're
that
9
is
miles
really
up.
cool. How many feet is that you're flying?
45,000. You can go
45,000.
9
It's
miles
basically the
high.
same as a commercial airline.
No, way higher.
Way higher.
Commercial's 30s.
Wow. So 45,000.
45 is way above commercial traffic. Yeah.
That's it.
Now the negative, if you had a rapid decompression, you're out. You're passed out in seconds. So they want you to wear a oxygen mask up there, which nobody does.
Right, right.
They're there to deploy, but you got to deploy it before you pass out.
Do you feel that pressure up there?
No, because the cabin altitude at 45,000 is 6,600, same as commercial.
Okay. All
So
right.
you didn't feel the
So you don't feel it at all.
same as commercial airline
Right, right.
inside. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to the government spending part because I was going to try and go to the whole creation of this Doge, which we don't hear
It's a
anything.
disaster.
We don't hear anything more about it.
It's self-imploded July 4th, I think it ended. And Elon was right for getting angry. Now, I don't agree with how they did their anger over social media, but
Sure, there was a little tit for tat going on.
yeah,
there,
Reagan had never, of course, he did have social back in the era, but I still don't think he would have done it. But Elon was right to be angry,
Sure.
because he really thought he could go in and fix government. He really thought he could fix this 2 trillion a year deficit, and he was right to be angry. He was betrayed. So I'm on Elon's side on that one.
Why do you think it was stopped? You think
Corruption,
the corruption?
of course, bribery.
They didn't want that exposed as much as they did.
No, sir.
No,
sir.
and
Well, look at what they did. They were burning his factories, and they bombed the Tesla service center in Vegas.
they did. Yes,
Remember that? Yeah.
yes, they did.
Yeah, remember
They
that?
did. Yep.
Yeah, that was all intentional. That was all. Yeah.
A message, maybe.
Yes, sir. It was, and he backed off, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he retired out of there, and yeah.
Yeah, and everybody brings up, well, there's fraud found here and there's fraud found there.
They
and
don't
there's
fix
money-
it. They don't fix it.
But where's that money go? If I find fraud of someone spending, let's say, $40 million, and now I found that fraud of 40 million, we stop it. Did we not gain 40 million somewhere else?
Well,
Did you not? I mean, we don't
here's
hear
the
about
problem,
that.
Scott. They're never going to be able to stop it. Okay,
Right.
There's too much of it. Whatever they catch, they get 1%, and the money's probably already spent. They're not recouping the money back.
Yeah, they're spending it somewhere else automatically.
The only way to stop it is get the government out of healthcare. Most of the fraud's in healthcare. That's where.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then also welfare. Stop welfare. Make people work again. If you want food, I grew up realizing if I don't get a job and work, or 2 jobs and work, I don't eat. I don't have a house. I don't have an apartment. I don't have a car.
Right.
Now they get all that free. You don't have to work. You got half the population not working, and most of them on welfare. So why not end welfare? Make people work again, and let the welfare go back to the charities. The charities used to take care of welfare.
They did.
And they did it a lot better,
Yeah.
better. But creating a welfare system where half the people can live and be obese and not work is a disaster.
Yeah, because with their EBT card, they can
They're
get
buying junk.
they can buy
Awful.
junk food, soda. I mean, they're not sustainable things. It's not like the necessities. It's like they're able to buy luxuries with.
Well, even worse,
And
Scott,
food.
we're paying for their junk food to make them obese. diabetes, cancer, heart attacks, Alzheimer's, etc., arthritis, and then we're paying to fix it.
Right.
Or allegedly fix it. We're paying a fortune to treat it then. It's a double-edged sword that's bankrupting the country, and nobody fixes it. I was in high hopes that the current president and party that promised to fix it would, but they haven't. I haven't seen them fix anything. Have you?
No,
Tell me what they
I
fixed.
it's almost been a status quo
It is.
in a
It's been
way,
status quo.
and
They've done nothing to fix and help my industry.
yeah,
They've done nothing to fix anything so far. And we've presented to the government information where if you pay for these vitamins that actually work and provide them to your Medicare, Medicaid people that you're spending $2 trillion a year on right now, we can save you for every dollar you spend, we can save you $20, $30, $40 in
wow.
disease costs. Still, yeah, we presented that months ago, still have nothing from them on progressing.
Again, there's no money in it for them.
No, I can't.
So
I don't have the money to, like the drug companies, to say, "Hey, here's $1 million of whatever to your packs," and yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's so. With that in mind, it's just on the topic of politics. We have obviously our what both parties are like now, but then we see one kind of going way off the rails.
Well, they're going towards communism,
And-
socialist, but really both parties are socialists. If you think
Right.
about it. In fact, Ron Paul just had a X little post talking about that both parties are socialists. Now one party is more socialist and more communist
Right.
than the other, and they hurt us really badly with the open borders. And what's bad is all those illegals that came in could also vote, could also get welfare,
yeah,
because we're not checking to make sure you're legal to give you welfare or vote.
yeah,
So that caused a lot of voter fraud towards that other party, and to help them win elections. And it also put a lot of people on welfare that are not legal citizens and shouldn't get welfare. Again, the only way to fix welfare is end it, though. I don't think you can fix it.
it's
don't think
very.
it's
I
fixable.
think it's like anything else. Sometimes you go too far, and when you dial it back, it's not enough at that point anymore. And sometimes, like you said, if you end something, as tragic as that may be for a lot of people, it forces them now to go back in the direction of, well, maybe I need to work, right? Maybe I need to work at a job that might not be as glamorous or might not be. But guess what? We've all started out in jobs that were not glamorous. I mean,
I started a Rex roast
I mean,
beef. I was like Arby's. I started at
Yeah.
10:35 hour.
I worked in a pizza place, and then I worked at a gas station cleaning windshields and filling up people's cars back in the day. I mean, and I actually had fun at it. I had a blast. I mean, I learned a lot about cars and mechanics at the time, just like I learned how to cook when I worked at a pizza restaurant. It taught me how to cook, because at that young age, like yourself, you're not just working a job, you're absorbing how a business is run, you're absorbing how things are made, and you're getting ideas, and you collect this along the way. So I, like you, I put those things in my vault. You know, what my first job, my second job, my third job, all the jobs that I had, that even working out in a
made you
gym.
who you are.
Yeah,
I made you who you are. I worked at Sears, Kmart. They're bankrupt now. Walmart kicked their butt,
right.
which is my biggest customer. And I learned a lot, though. I learned the most from the auto business. So I worked for a man named Dick Wagner, and he had a Mazda dealership, and he taught me every aspect of how to run a business, and
Wow.
all aspects of running a car business apply to running any business. I don't care if you're selling appliances or cars or jets or vitamins, doesn't matter. Same principles apply. Supply chain, customer service, sales, marketing, financials, same concepts.
Yeah, and I tell I mean, even young people I talk to today, I try to tell them, I try to instill in them. You take any job you get, and
Learn
try
from
to
it.
look behind the back scenes as much as you can.
Learn-
I don't care if you're an usher in a movie theater. Learn how that theater makes its money. Learn how they do their costs of the food and the snacks. Learn how they
Exactly.
pay for a film on the projectors. And I mean, there's so much you can learn from that. Even if it's not the job you want to go into permanently, you can take that knowledge and apply it to other businesses.
Well, companies like Walmart, you can start out as a entry level position and work your way up to CEO. I mean, those companies have CEOs that started out entry level positions making a lot of money.
Right.
Uh, Even if you just make it up to store manager, that's up to 250 to 500,000 a year now.
And people
Uh,
don't understand that. They don't even Domino's. I actually met a Domino's general manager, and they handled like 2 or 3 stores. They were making $200,000 a year
you know what got me
more
in the car
for
business?
doing Domino's, and they started out as a driver delivering Domino's years
There you
ago.
go. Well, you know what got me in the car business is I was selling appliances, TVs at a place that was kind of like a Best Buy before a Best Buy in the 80s. And the guy comes in and he buys a bunch of appliances, TVs for his new house he built, fills out a credit application, and he listed income of like 120,000 a year in the 80s. In the
Which is a
80s.
lot.
So that's like
Yeah.
400,000 a year today.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he was an auto business manager, sales manager. And I said, "Is this true? Do you really make this much money?" And he says, "Yes." I go, "I want that job." So I got into sales in the car business, and then
Right.
worked my way up to management. And I didn't quite get that high, but I did pretty darn good. And I remember dating a school teacher who had a college degree, and somehow we started talking about our pay, and I made triple what she made, and I got a GED. I don't have a college degree. I just got a GED.
And think about that.
And I got a free car to drive too.
Yeah.
IROC, see,
And so you had a GED, and then look where you are now.
no college, not a
No
day.
college. I mean, it's and I
So
get
my
it.
PhD is my GED.
Yeah, and that's it. And sometimes going through, for those who don't do college, for those who only get a GED, I mean,
You can still do great.
you can still do great
Still
as
do,
long as you want to
work hard, work
yeah,
smart.
absorb what you get from other people.
There's so many scams in this country. College is another one of them. Look
Yeah.
at the cost of college; it's
It-
absurd.
It's absurd.
And government schooling's a disaster. So government schooling, they try to treat every kid the same, like every kid should go to college. No, every kid should not go to college.
No,
Probably
yeah.
half should go to trade school in high school. Learn to be a mechanic, learn to a skill that we need, that we have shortages of, and there's a lot of them, like mechanics. And you can come out of high school making like 180, 100 grand a year out of high school, no college debt, and you didn't waste 4 or 8 years in college.
Yeah, and we have a deficit of tradesmen,
Oh, it's terrible.
tradespeople.
We got too many
I mean,
lawyers.
yeah.
We got too many college kids with no skills, and we got too few tradesmen, as you
Yeah.
say, too
No-
few mechanics.
There's no welders, there's no mechanics, there's no construction workers, and there's no heavy equipment operators. I mean, and they make a ton of money. I mean, people don't
Yes, sir.
realize what a crane operator makes.
I don't know even.
I mean, they're
Hundreds of
making
thousands, probably.
hundreds of thousands, especially if you're in New York City and those tall ones, you're making $200,000 a year.
We got tall ones
Um,
there too.
I mean, you look at jobs like that. I was just watching another person's podcast in regards to welders, how there aren't enough welders
Yes,
out
sir.
there, and the senior ones that are leaving aren't able to pass on their knowledge because they're retiring, and they're not, and the new ones coming in aren't catching those retirees to absorb the knowledge. So, I mean, it's just
Well, again, thank government.
Yeah.
Government schools have created a lazy, stupid generation of kids that don't have the work ethic, that don't want to build a house, that don't want to weld, as you say, or be a
Right.
mechanic. They all want to be the same college. I go to college, I get a degree, I should automatically make all this money. And most of the degrees they're getting, information is worthless. It's like when I hire people, I don't base it on their college at all. I base it on their job skills, their experience, their personality, their attitudes, work ethic. I don't even care about their college. If they got a college PhD, MBA, or none, it doesn't matter to me at all.
so. With your company now, are you involved with all the hiring that goes on, or
Well,
most of the hiring?
executives. I hire the executives, and
Okay.
then I expect them to hire the right people. Now, if I see they made a hiring mistake, I'll step in and point out there's issues here we need to resolve, and try to train, mentor them. If you can't, then you got to move on, admit you made a hiring mistake, and fix it.
That's it,
So
right?
the biggest problem with government is they don't do that. The government will hire basically anyone, and then they keep them forever.
Right.
They don't do that. They don't they don't hire the right people, and then they don't get rid of the wrong people. And so you end up with a business, which it is, the government, all the wrong people. You know,
Yeah, there's a friend of mine who's an entrepreneur himself, and he told me that, and which is funny because as you know, I spent time working for the government,
yes, you did.
uh, and he said that those who are unemployable work for the government.
That's probably a
And
lot of
and
examples true.
I
Yeah.
used to laugh at that, and there I was at at the time working for the government,
Now I
but it
do
made a lot of sense because I worked amongst that. I
and you
saw
saw it
that.
at bureaucracy levels.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was amazing.
Now
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for people like yourself that were out there on the street protecting the citizens. So we need those, like the role you played. But there's a lot of bureaucracy above that we don't
Absolutely,
need, and you saw
absolutely,
that.
yeah.
And that's true with the military. You know, I respect the soldiers a lot, but the bureaucracy above them is a disaster.
Yeah, and we're all and people who work for the government. I mean, a lot of them obviously got hired and they want to do their best, but they're not given the right tools. They're not given the right leadership. And what
Exactly.
happens is they almost have to lead themselves in a way. And then when it comes time to wanting something or getting the help they need, they're almost left abandoned.
Yes.
And then they're left
yes.
with the blame.
Then they leave. They quit. So you
They
lose your
quit.
good ones.
So you're losing the good ones.
Well, it's like when we forced vaccines on the military, when they forced COVID vaccines, we lost a lot of good soldiers over
Yeah.
that rightfully said, I'm not getting that dangerous, ineffective vaccine.
Even in local government, we lost a lot of firemen, policemen, people who
Wow.
even because they were forced, and some of them
It's
were
wrong.
told they could not work.
See,
And
that's a violation
know,
of your constitutional
yeah.
rights. The government is violating so many constitutional rights. It's unbelievable. And that's another example.
Well, it is,
Yeah.
and that's where the socialism comes in.
Yes, sir.
People get used to. It's like anything else. What happens is they give you one thing, you get used to it. Then they put another thing in place, you
It's
get
like
used to it.
taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a revolution over a 3-cent a pound tea tax, Boston Tea Party. Now, how many taxes do you have
Oh,
and pay?
I mean, we're paying. I mean,
They take half your wealth, which is all your wealth.
I mean, if
basically.
you lived in California, you're losing 56%.
You're the highest tax person in the world. That's
I
right.
mean, it's crazy.
I was at a comedy show the other night. The comedian they just arrested on like 12 felony state tax charges, and he got out in time to do a show. Still, but I wanted to say to him, "What?"
Guarantee that was part of his shtick too that night.
It was, and
Yeah.
I wanted to say to him, I wanted to say, why don't you live in Nevada where at least there's no income tax?
Yeah,
here,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but we have all these.
we do. I mean, we have a high sales tax, and of
so
course,
many other taxes.
and you look at, and I applaud DeSantis and governors like him when they're trying to get rid of the property tax.
He's the best governor in the
I mean,
country. I wish he was.
Why we're paying property taxes,
It's
and I know that,
you never own your property.
they try to tie it into, well, we got to pay for the schools, the police, and and I don't buy that.
I don't either.
I don't buy it. I mean, it's
DeSantis is the best governor in America.
Yeah.
I wish he was our president. I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's that tax in itself. I think it's
the worst of all of them. I agree.
The worst of all. I mean,
You never own your property.
you bought the house.
Yeah.
You're already paying. Yeah.
And then don't matter.
The bank loans you the money. You're paying interest on that loan,
But even when you buy
and that
cash,
means you own it. So if
You
I
really buy-
own that,
yeah, you don't own it. Government owns it.
you
It's
know,
terrible.
it is, and and now we're here. Texas is
And
trying to
even-
do the same thing.
Well, and even worse, they hyperinflate the value of your house through the deficit spending and devaluation of the dollar, and then they tax you more on that hyperinflated value that they created.
Yeah.
Think about that. So it's bad enough you're paying property tax at all, but then it's being raised every year because of the hyperinflation the government's creating. Think about that. How evil that is.
Yeah, and so they keep raising the bar, raising the bar.
Then they tax you on your capital gains, your estates. The income tax was illegal until they changed the Constitution and made it legal.
That was supposed to be temporary.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
I mean, it was supposed to be income tax was supposed to be a temporary thing.
It was illegal before that. Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional before that.
And then of course you have things like
A Ponzi scheme. What it is, Ponzi scheme. They did not take any of that money, invest it. There was no money there.
right.
Whereas all that money they took out of our paychecks and the employer matched is all gone. It's a Ponzi scheme that's going to go bankrupt soon,
Yeah,
and neither party fixes it. Same with Medicare. Same story.
yeah.
So all that money they took from us for Social Security, Medicare is gone. There's none there.
That's it.
Yeah, none there.
And
Big Ponzi scheme. Madoff was nothing compared to the government. He was a chump change toddler's play.
sure,
Yeah.
sure, and it's unfortunate, but there's not much we can do. Well, put it this way: we don't know what all is going wrong anywhere because we only know what they put out there. Of course,
True.
we all have to do our own digging. We have to talk to some other people. Yeah, you have some whistleblowers out there that bring up stuff about what I worked in this office in the government, that one. This is what was going on. So you almost have to piece it together like a detective,
Yes, sir.
and then you get, some social media influencers, like a Joe Rogan or a Dan Bongino or something like that comes out and says, here's what's going on. And then some people dismiss it as a conspiracy theory, or they say they don't know what they're talking about. No. We don't know what's really going on. We don't really
Well,
know because that's how we can't fix it because we don't know
well,
what's going on.
well, the biggest problem I see is government schools. We should have never let government get control of our schools because it's brainwashing propaganda.
Right.
They lie to us about a lot of stuff. They omit a lot of bad stuff. Like, for example, on Netflix, there's this mini series. I think it's two-part about one of the Native American that defeated Custer. And we all think, oh, he's a bad guy, and Custer's a hero, and Abraham Lincoln's a hero, and all those generals back then were heroes. No, they're not. They were stealing the Indians' land. They were violating the treaties they forced them into, which were bad treaties. They were massacring their families, stealing their land, starving them to death. Yeah, the buffalo hunts.
Sure. Yeah. Oh,
That
yeah.
was to starve the
Yeah.
Indians to death
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
steal their land.
50
And
million something buffalo were killed. I mean,
yeah,
it was like,
and I
yeah.
grew up believing Abraham Lincoln was this hero. I grew up where he grew up in Springfield, Illinois, going to his tomb, member of his museum library. And once I fact checked that documentary to make sure it was truthful, and it was,
Right.
I want nothing to do with Abraham Lincoln now. Or I mean, what our government did to the Native Americans is it's as bad as what Hitler did and the Nazis did to the Jews. It was genocide. It was wrong. It was bad. But we're not taught that. We're not taught that. We're
Sure.
all taught that Abraham Lincoln was a great guy. All the presidents were great guys, and all these generals were great guys. No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
No.
Watch that though.
You look at government from day one, any government from day one, go back to the Roman Empire, go back to any empire or country, they only give their people what they want to know, what they want them to know.
It's true.
And they take out the people that talk too much.
Yes.
And then when they wanted something, they took it. I mean, and that goes back to the BCs
Yeah.
of empires. When they
Yeah.
wanted something, they take it, then they
Well,
mask it over and say, well, it was really this. That's why
if
we
you
did it.
study communism, recent, last 100 years,
Sure.
Russia, China, if you study Islamics, if you study a lot of places, Nazi Germany, World War II, yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on. They first thing they want to do is control control education.
Right.
Then they want to control your currency. They want to control your wealth, take your wealth. There's a reason the founders had a revolution over a 3 cent a pound tea tax, but this is not what they wanted. What we got now, this is
Right.
not what they envisioned or wanted. We ruined the Constitution, and look how many times we changed it. It's been ruined. Destroyed. It used to be all taxes were just based on tariffs. There was
Right.
no income tax. There was no estate tax. No sales tax, no property tax, no tax on selling your home, no tax on your cars, and now there's taxes on everything, and that was all illegal until Congress changed the Constitution.
Yeah. And mostly they create these taxes because government learned that, oh wow,
More power, more wealth.
we can if we create more wealth,
More power.
we need to fund something else. We need to fund this, we need to fund that. We need to take it from somewhere else, take it from the people. Let's give them a tax now on this.
Yep.
Let's give them a tax now on that. And it almost goes, it's laughable. I think it was in England, they had the window tax. And that's why you see a lot of windows that were bricked over because you were taxed in the amount of windows you had.
Well,
I mean,
and they're
crazy
never
things
and
like
they're never
that.
happy. So they'll start a tax at 1%, then it's 2, then it's 3, then
Yeah.
it's 4, then it's 5, and like Missouri, good good conservative state overall. But like I got a house in Branson and a vacation home, and to buy stuff there, the sales tax, state and local, it's like 11%.
That's a lot.
11% sales
That is
tax.
a lot.
When you combine the state, local,
Right.
absurd. And I'm sure it started out less than that,
Sure.
you know,
But
but
people wanted to make, and it always comes down to this. They want their raises. Everybody wants their raise, congressmen, senators,
they're never
everybody.
happy. Greed,
They
greed,
always want to get raises. And it's like,
never happy.
it's like, what have you done for me to get that raise? It's one of those things where,
Well, I'm going to go see the Young Washington movie tomorrow.
that is fantastic.
I'm
Yeah.
taking my Navy buddies to go see it with their wives and look forward to it. And I'm sure George Washington would not approve of what we have today, and nor would Thomas Jefferson, nor would Ben Franklin and Thomas Paine. And, the founders are literally rolling in their graves if they can see this shit show.
Yeah.
Oh, I cuss. There's my one cuss word.
That's okay.
Shit
You
show.
know, and of course, we just did our 250 years, celebration here and everything. And, so, I mean, overall, we still have a good country to work with, I
If
think.
we can save it.
Yeah. If we
If
can
we can
save it,
save it. The
we,
path it's on, it's
it's
on a
tough.
catastrophic course for
Yeah, it is, and if you look
failure.
at some of the things that are happening, like New York,
A communist takeover.
it's,
Yeah.
things like that we have to, there's a
But
lot.
our side has to realize that our side is doing as much bad too, though.
There is,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah.
there's these deficits and debt, or don't underestimate how
Yeah.
catastrophic they are, and they're responsible too.
Yeah.
Both parties are responsible.
Well, they are. They are. And everybody likes to point fingers at each other.
Yeah, so if I meet a fellow conservative that thinks our side is doing great right now, I just shake my head and I try
Yeah.
to educate them that,
Yeah.
look, these deficits and debt are not acceptable, and we need to call them out and say, look, you've got to stop this as you promised. The current president promised us to balance the budget and pay off the debt to win votes when he first got elected, right?
Right.
And I expected him to do that.
Sure.
So I got pictures with him, and I got friends who are his friends, and I tell them I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with this. This
Yeah.
is not what he promised. And they're like, only Congress can spend. I go, well, no,
No,
the
yeah.
president can veto,
Yes,
and
you
he's
can.
never vetoed a budget. And I believe the budgets he's proposed have had massive debt in them also. So, okay, propose a budget that pays off the deficit, and if they come back with a budget that doesn't, veto it.
Yeah.
Neither side has 2/3 to override that veto.
Yeah.
They signs them. So
Yeah.
it's sad. I loved his promises. I loved how he talked about vaccines being potentially dangerous, and we need to study them better because we're giving kids too many. And
Right.
then what happened to that promise? And then warp speed, get your vaccines. COVID funded the COVID vaccines.
Yeah, I wasn't one of them.
Smart man. Me either. I didn't
I
get
stayed
'em.
away from that.
I didn't get them.
I used my own common sense on that. I was waiting to see how many rights I would lose from it if they had gone further than if it had gone some of the ways that some of the people who were pro-vaccine wanted, which was almost basically putting you in jail for not getting the
Yeah.
vaccine.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see how far that
Democrats.
would go.
Yeah,
I mean, that was,
Democrats were worse. Yeah.
that was my
Well,
thing. So,
California, and then they shut companies down too.
yeah,
Thankfully, my company was considered essential, like food, so we stayed in business. But a lot of businesses were shut down and went out of business
yeah,
because of that scam.
yeah,
Biggest scam ever.
yeah. It is. A lot of people lost.
Cost us trillions of dollars in more new debt. Killed a lot of people. The vaccines, I know, killed a lot of people. They don't admit it, but they did.
Yeah,
They did. And it's like everybody I know that got a vaccine got COVID.
oh
Everyone,
yeah, yeah. I know quite a few people.
right?
I mean, and I remember getting COVID, and I had the symptoms for it, and I got sick from it. It lasted about 3 days for
Mild
me.
cold.
And it was, to me, I've had flus worse.
Yeah.
And I know for some
Yeah.
people it's worse. I mean, I relatively keep myself in good shape. And I know that, that always doesn't come into play, but it's like anything else you get, your body will either fight it or it won't. And
Scott, your body has cancer in it right
yeah,
now. Everybody
yeah,
has cancer, but if you keep your immune system strong, it won't bother you.
right,
You've got viruses, bacteria in your body that can kill you right now. If your immune system is healthy, you're going to be fine.
right,
The reason people that get AIDS, HIV die, it's not from the AIDS or HIV, it's from the immune system failing, and then they get the infections from the bacteria and so on,
right,
cancer and so on. So the key is your immune system. Well, how do you keep healthy immune system? Eat healthy, avoid sugar, exercise, take lots of good vitamins and herbs, get outdoors, get some sun, fresh air, move, walk,
Move.
steps. Yeah.
Yeah, move.
I got a
Don't
ring, or a ring that tracks your steps, your sleep. Sleep, biggie. One thing that the ring taught me about sleep, I used to think, okay, I go to bed at midnight, I get up at 8 a.m.,
Right,
I got 8 hours sleep. No, you didn't.
right.
You need to be in bed about another hour and a half more than what your actual sleep is. So to get 8 hours, you need to be in bed like nine and a half.
Okay.
Uh, and
That's
also,
because you wake up during the middle of the night.
exactly,
And if
exactly.
you and they say if you get up to go to the bathroom once or twice in the night, you've broken that sleep. So
Yeah, that's
even though
right.
you've gotten 8 hours, what you think, you really get up twice during the night or once during the night, and it takes you time to fall back asleep. And so therefore you've interrupted that 8 hours of sleep.
Exactly. And also
You
don't
know,
eat before you sleep. That's
right,
very bad. And be in bed by optimally 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. to midnight range. There's studies with night workers where their disease rates, death rates are double
right.
working nights. So you
I did
really,
that for a while, working nights. It was
it's
unhealthy. I mean,
not healthy.
you can't get used to it. Anybody who says that they're used to a graveyard schedule, you're not used to it. You're tolerating it,
Correct.
but you're not used to it. I
That's
don't care
right.
how long you've spent in it. It taxes you. It actually
Yes, sir.
taxes your body.
Studies prove it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
Night
And
shift workers, a lot higher
yeah,
disease rates.
yeah,
Yeah.
we are not meant to be nocturnal.
No,
Not at all.
all the studies show optimal be in bed by 11. I'm a night type where I'm pushing like, okay, if I can be in bed midnight to 1, I'm doing good.
Right.
But if you go to bed after 1, not only does it affect your physical health, but your mental health too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So be in
Yeah.
bed by 11. Probably you need about 9 hours in the bed to get 7.5, 8 hours of actual sleep. All the studies show 7.5 optimal.
Sure. Yeah.
So you got to get your sleep. You got to get proper hydration. You need to drink more water, herbal teas. You need to get your steps in. 6,500 to 8,000 is my goal a day.
And they say that. I mean, they always say, well, 10,000 a day, but realistically,
6,500
they say 65,
is
8,000.
good.
It'll
Still
get
a
you.
good number.
But the key thing you brought up is yes, getting up. You have to get up and move. You can't be sitting down.
Average American gets 2,000 steps.
Right.
Disaster. And average American's obese.
Yeah, they are, and it's
And get the sugar out of your diet. That destroys your immune system, causes cancer, Alzheimer's, and take a lot of good vitamins. Take a lot of C, D, B, zinc, selenium, turmeric, ashwagandhas, mushrooms,
mushrooms. Yeah,
shiitake, maitake,
yeah,
cordyceps, reishi, lion's mane. Yeah,
yeah. That's great.
miracle foods.
It
Miracles.
is, and then I try to again. I do it daily. It's like my obsession is taking my vitamins, getting my workout on in the morning because I do it early in the morning just so it's out of the way,
Smart.
and then I don't get that brain fog.
Smart.
Because you lose some of your motivation during the day, and we all have busy days, and there's always an excuse not to do something. So if you do it early in the morning, get that done, you feel accomplished, you feel better, and then you don't have that brain fog, and you can go into the rest of the day and
Spot
get
on.
that sleep.
Great.
So
Like Zeus. Right? He's
like
his-
Zeus, he's doing it right now. I love it. He's just like my German shepherds. Yeah, he heard it. There he is. Great, big stretch, buddy. Well, Wayne, it's been fantastic.
Scott, my pleasure.
I mean, it
Yeah.
really has. I mean,
Yeah,
we have
Scott.
had a great time. Looking forward to possibly having you on again because there's
My
so much to
pleasure.
talk about. I always learn a lot from you. You send me links and articles and videos a lot of times, and I do enjoy them. I really do. I
Thank
look
you.
at them and I keep an
My
open
pleasure.
mind and I think what our listeners here are gonna find is it's gonna give them a chance to open their mind. No one needs to agree with everything everybody says,
No.
but as long as you question and keep an open mind, that just makes us better down the road.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
And
Right.
realize a lot of the information on the internet is censored now. Like you used to be able to Google search vaccine injuries and find the studies on them. Now they're all hidden where it says, oh, vaccines are safe, safe, safe. And all the stuff that was bad has been censored off.
Yeah.
So be aware that
Be aware.
Google, the government, they were in bed together. They were
They
caught.
are, yeah.
Remember, they were caught
Yeah, absolutely.
doing that,
Absolutely.
censoring any information they didn't want you to get here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
realize a lot of censoring on the search engines, and so it's sometimes hard to find the
Yeah.
truth.
And
They
don't
hide
believe
it.
anything chat tells you because we know about 60% of chat is going to be right and about 40% wrong is what they're finding. So,
Wow.
you just be smart. I mean, just use common sense. And, Wayne pointed out a lot of things for us today, and I think that's fantastic. Learned a lot more about vitamins than I knew before, and as always, I love talking to Wayne about his vision of the economic side of things in our government and business and so forth. And I hope you get that Legacy 500.
Fighter 600 now.
That's the 600 now.
They changed the name.
I don't know, but I kind of like that name, Legacy 500. But Wayne Gorsuch, everybody, thank you
Scott.
very much. And
Thank you.
we'll see you again on next time on Kickback.
Pleasure. Thank you.